Hey folks, how's it going? We're checking out more Brass Eye. Hopefully you guys had a fantastic day. This episode is Science, man. Look forward to jumping into it. The previous one was drugs, and before that it was animals. And both of those were fantastic, especially when he was messing with the drug dealers in the last episode. I thought that was hilarious. Them doing the what is called shat was funny to me as well. It reminded me of the DARE program here. A bunch of scare tactics to get you to not do drugs. It didn't really work, but they tried, you know. That weird little 70s drug documentary thing they had going on as well when he seemed like he was pimping that little girl out. I was like, this is weird. This is goofy and weird. It was a good episode, man. The animals and this one, I enjoyed both. Let's just go ahead and jump into this one, folks. We'll talk about it more in the end.
We're looking tonight at the appalling hazards of
irresponsible weapons research. Terrible cases have arisen in Siberia, where weapon chemicals are disrupting embryo organ precursor cells in pregnant women. It had given birth to a 2-foot testicle.
Oh my God.
The gland was alive when we saw it and being kept warm in a cot. With no mouth, the doctors knew it could not feed, and they were convinced it could feel pain. We were told it would live for just 2, perhaps 3 more days, all the time in chronic pain.
On a scale, say 1 to 100%, what percentage bad science is that?
Oh, 100%.
Tonight on Brass Eye. This recent experiment into quadriplegia produced results that disturb.
We collected together a group of disabled people and placed various household objects around, some with quite tempting aromas. For example, we placed a cup of Bovril in front of one of them. What we found was that they would lunge secretly for the Bovril and quaff it. I think that they're not disabled at all. I think they're just incredibly lazy people.
June this year, the same men isolated and blew up a fortnight.
And I turned around and whack, I was 4 miles down the road, lying on my face next to a little tree that I hadn't been meant to be next to for about 2 weeks.
But does science take responsibility? Any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology!
And when science is on sale, it may be helping us. But what about our children?
I'd like to tell you about the most effective weight loss system in pregnancy. The figure apocalypse that is pregnancy is a female tragedy that has at last been conquered by one man, Dr. Balb Kubrox. Balb.
That's right. Look at this little guy. He's using my gynesium womb implant to exercise so his mom loses weight.
Activity rate is maintained with chemical stimulants and mechanical prods.
He could be made to flex up to 30 times a second.
Innocent or guilty. Innocent or guilty.
It's so focused.
Leave me alone. I'm trying to work it out, all right?
Their unpleasant remarks from their persecutors.
People up. I got preyed on losers here.
Our London alley, a body, looks dead, but it isn't. It just wishes it was.
Has a limb grafted on my body.
Only this is real and touches you in a way that voguish fiction wouldn't begin to understand. These aren't isolated cases.
The deal that I specifically struck was to grow 150 lips on my chest. 6 pounds a lip.
They'll even do you a deal on the phone.
Stupid.
I'm out of wampum. I spazzed it all on a horse.
I was offered 500 quid to grow a stomach full of shoulders.
Shoulders?
It could have been worse. When city analyst Helly Melvick hit balls on her back.
It's like someone sticking a saber into you and screwing it around day and night for 6 months.
Fuck me.
The organs are then harvested and sold on for huge profit.
Dr. Spofford, you're preying on losers.
So stupid.
Yes, the personal organizer revealed a chain of rich clients for organs and limbs. Donald
Michael
Trump
Jackson,
has received over 7 feet of new tongue.
I'm going to say to them, you're on camera. There's a camera here and one here.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
What's your excuse? Was it just the money? Was it just the money? Was it just the money? You're not going to get away with this.
Oh, yeah.
It's not cool to be weird. You won't get away with this.
What is the point of doing that? What is the argument for it?
I don't know, it's to do with in vitro fertilization or how you can cultivate fetuses
You see, the
outside
only
the
thing
womb
is-
because a crab has a certain circulatory
Yes.
system that can feed it.
Yeah, but the other thing is so much of the improvements in modern society have been brought about by experiments on animals.
What?
And what do you do when somebody does that?
I know.
I mean, you know, and that's the way people are.
I know.
Didn't say anything.
Hello, I'm Tanya Breyer. This time, I'm afraid, with some unpleasant truths. True clouds are being replaced by mutant clouds, like Cirrus Sirius, Javo Nimbus, and Altocephalus. More and more, these are turning upside down and injecting their rain upwards into space, like it's flowing forwards, but only because we've reversed the film. Heavy water deeply confuses river flow systems. Just last month, 2 rivers got completely lost and were found wandering uselessly about the Southern Oceans.
Whimper was originally explained as atmospheric retching, but shocking new evidence suggests the sound was made by this man, Peacecap Johnson, a sub-mental who died last week at the asylum where he lived for the last 27 years.
Was codenamed Sleeping Beauty. Was a man of very low intelligence. He never really understood what was going on.
Johnson's job was to act as on-board sex receptacle.
Sleeping Beauty was trained to present his posterior to a hole in the locker whenever the crew members required relief.
Since the early days, distorted sex drive in orbit has been a sticky problem.
On board Gemini, John Young raped and ate alive 2 experimental monkeys.
Experiments with the rear end of horses failed. Women were deemed too silly for space. So what kind of man would agree to be the ass in NASA?
He had to be pretty much a 0-watt bulb. We stopped looking when we found him winning the stupidest boy in the Dane County Fair for a 3rd year running.
The ass in NASA.
The 0836 Aldrin used Johnson gently, and they forged a bond that saved Johnson's life.
Lose beauty, repeat, lose beauty.
When Houston required Johnson to be ejected into space, Aldrin refused.
11 is imperative, beauty is lost.
Dirty, silk fish.
The astronauts are now in hiding and will only issue statements through an animal.
But Aldrin's letters make that testimony irrelevant. They abound with muted references to sex acts written in a plaintive tone that suggests a still-present yearning.
GFAFWISP is the global consortium for a first-world initiative on scientific practice. Self-explanatory, really. Heavy electricity, now that's a bit trickier. It's caused by particle accelerators sending huge jolts of power in... This gives you some idea. Basically, it's like being hit by a ton of invisible lead soup. In the Sri Lankan village of Wobbly, inhabitants are suffering heavy electricity attacks even as I speak. This all is. If you're in any doubt, just shut your eyes and imagine a child you know being hit on the head by a ton of invisible lead soup.
What's invisible lead soup?
Non-scientific contributors were sure to check
on their backs and made off what scientists call wobbly matter. I won't go into it here, but basically it's caused by sodomized electrons which rush to the cow's head end. Now, just apply that to a young girl. Now, just imagine that. She can't speak, but she must feel quite dreadful. 15 years old,
Man, they really fall
and
for
only,
this
what,
shit, man.
this tall.
Sometimes pure physical aggression was the only way.
Let me show you what's going on. Here is Wobbly. Tons of invisible lead soup, but lead soup that can bounce destructively around like a hellish Powerball. So, more accurately, it's a cross between a ton of lead soup, animals, for example, smashing people. That could be your mother. All because these bloody idiots aren't doing their job properly.
Oh my God.
So what's to be done? Write to the Sri Lankan embassy.
GFAFWISP had expert advice.
Richard Branson has sent out these plugs with his beaming face on them that are being used locally, which can help to a degree.
The squash people of Wobbly are more important than the inconvenience of you banging a hammer for a couple of days over in Sri Lanka.
Bollocks. It's about time somebody got off their fat arse and did something about it. Do you know, they actually say to me that there is no such thing as heavy electricity. If a caller calls me on my show and then suddenly they're on the phone 1 minute and then they're affected by heavy electricity, they could be blown 100 feet away. That is the dangers of heavy electricity.
So what is the verdict on science?
Please stand. What is the verdict?
I'm afraid there is no verdict because all the jury have died of pollution.
Oh, once happy bauble, twisting on the bliss twig of ignoramus, you were suddenly plunged into the brain tanglia of rude math, And with what shocking results? Has the Earth been reduced to an odious space gland? Is this what we've done to ourselves? Good Christ, I hope not.
Oh, God.
Good night.
All right, man. When he was making fun of Stephen Hawking. I was like, cold-blooded, but it was funny, though. He did a good job. I heard Stephen Hawking had a good sense of humor. I remember reading it on Reddit or something somewhere. Like, he would, like, make jokes and stuff all the time. And I also think I read somewhere that he liked strippers or something. Like, he was really, really into strippers. I can't remember for sure, though. I feel like I read that somewhere, like, on Reddit or something. I mean, not knocking for, hey, get your groove on, dude. It is what it is. But yeah, dude, this was a decent episode. I did enjoy drugs and animals more than this one, though. I'm gonna be honest. I enjoyed it a bit more. Like, there are some funny moments in this. This wasn't a bad episode. I enjoyed it, but I did like animals and drugs more. And oh boy, the guy who I said looks familiar. I feel like I did see that guy somewhere before. And there's a lady in here. I feel like I saw her on IT Crowd, but I wasn't sure when I first saw her. Let me scroll to it. She was like sitting there. She wasn't in it alone. She was like this lady right here. I think I saw her in IT Crowd. I could be wrong, but she was like a business lady or something like that. I don't remember. I remember being in IT Crowd, and I think it was an episode where Jen had the bra on, like the bra that like burned her or whatever. Or was she the lady they started ignoring because Jen was the top lady or something? I can't remember, but I feel like she was in IT Crowd. She looks familiar. And the guy, he looked familiar as well. The one who was like smashing stuff with the hammer. Him. He looked familiar as well. I feel like I've seen him somewhere too. Don't remember where, but I feel like I've seen him somewhere as well. All right, man. That is it. That is all for this one. Hopefully you guys are happy, safe, and healthy. I'll see you in the next one. Later.